Game. Good morning, everyone. We're Group 6, and here's the completed task for the lab activity number 5. In this activity, we have divided the task where everyone has their own part. Part 1 for Marion Cusero, Part 2 and debugging for Angel Cotoniel, Part 3 for Hadwin Isaiah Pareñas, and analysis and conclusion for Jarmly Arnaiz. Let's call on Angel Cotoniel to demonstrate the codes. Now let's call on Jeremy Arnaiz to explain the code.
Declaring the input and the variable used in the use is important part in programming since is used as an indicator of values that would determine the output. The Pythagorean theorem is known to find the different side of the right triangle. The formula stands as a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, given that a, b, c, and function as the sides of the triangle. Since they are looking for the hypotenuse, we could assume that the formula they procure from the Pythagorean theorem is c is equal to square root predecessor that function as a guide for the different mathematical notation and how it could be interpreted in the object-oriented programming language in C++.
For the second code, let's call on Angel Cotoniel to present it.
Finding the sum of different product and the quotient of two numbers could be a lot of help in solving mathematical. For example, it would make it faster finding two variables of polynomial since in trial and error you need to find the sum and the product of the first and the last value. There are different math equations that need the sum, difference, and product and quotient, and providing with only inputting two values could make it faster in solving. An example is that an example of technology make things easier to do. While coding this, they realized that it would be better if they don't use the preprocessor math, since it could modify it could be easier to modify if it comes that we would need to be edited.
And lastly, for the third code, let's call on Angel Cotoniel to present the code.
Both Celsius and Fahrenheit are based on the temperature of water. The only difference is that they have different scale separation. The idea of separation of scale is that there are three types of processes: slow, dynamic, and fast. Slow processes are considered to be static, and all parameters describing these slow processes are fixed. Different Celsius is based on the scale separation of 100, while Fahrenheit is based on a 108-degree separation. We could simplify the formula as 0 degrees is equal to 5/5 of 32 Fahrenheit minus 32. Since the value used can be solved using basic math notation, that there is no longer need for other preprocessor and IO stream would suffice. It is also important that the return statement is needed to terminate the errors that may occur in programming.
Thank you, Angel and Jeremy, for the wonderful presentation. And lastly, let's call on Marion Crucero for the analysis of the code.
During the activity, the members observed that the conversion is similar to the first lesson and the basics of coding. They use mathematical notation to derive the value we would look for. They could also use other preprocessors for shortcut terms, shorter, and functioning the same way. The only drawback is that it would be harder to add modifications to the coding after finishing coding, as we should review or study the shortcut terms as they may be different from what we assume them to be. The C++ coding functions similar to a calculator. It uses different mathematical notation to calculate the value, but it could also show the past calculated value and how it was calculated with little tweaks in the code.
And for the conclusion, C++ is a programming language that easily identifies the problems or errors that have occurred during your coding. It's also a helpful tool that can answer some of your inquiries using the same code that you have made. The program is syntactically correct. If your program compiles without errors and runs without crashing, you can conclude that the syntax of your code is correct. The program produces the expected output. If the output of your program matches the expected output for the given inputs, you can conclude that the logic of your code is correct. The program is efficient. If your program runs quickly and does not consume excessive memory, you can conclude that your code is very efficient. The program is maintainable. If your code is easy to read, understand, and modify, you can conclude that it is maintainable. Lastly, the program meets the requirements. If your program satisfies the requirements of the problem statement, you can conclude that it is successful. That is all. Thank you. Smile. Wait.